Thanks for watching Numbskull News, and today we're going to talk about the Big 12 and their basketball future. What lies ahead for the Big 12 in terms of basketball? Well, we got a little bit of an inkling about that with the athletic article that came out a while back. And I'm sure everyone's heard about it now, how Yormark is thinking about unbundling the football and basketball, which is a freaking brilliant move. And I don't believe this is something that just any conference can do. You have to have the overall brand value to do it. You have to have the matchups, you have to have the ratings, you have to have all that. And the Big 12, they're top notch. We are the SEC of basketball. That's what we are. But in order for that to work, of course, you have to add other teams. And of course, we've heard about, Gonzaga, that they're coming in. Arizona's coming in. Now, this stuff isn't official yet, but basically, you can book it. It's going to happen. Houston's already coming in. So just with those three brands, that increases the dominance of the Big 12 tenfold. But you don't stop there. Now, look, this is one of the things Yormark's been talking about. He said he's in talks with Gonzaga. Right now, he's dealing with some other expansion things. Of course, wink, wink, that's the Four Corner Schools. Really take a look at what he's doing with the Big 12 Conference tournament right now. Having Shaq there, Fat Joe, all these, top entertainers. That's exactly what you have to do in branding and marketing. You got to make your conference tournament the biggest freaking deal in college basketball, because that's what it is. It has, like I said before, it has the best brands. It has the best basketball. The next step Brett Yormark is going to do is continue to add value to the basketball brand of the Big 12. And you have to do so before 2031. And I think he's going to continue to be very aggressive in the search for more basketball brands, such as Villanova or Marquette, Creighton, UConn, Xavier, Dayton, or George Mason. There's a lot of options out there that can add significant value to the overall Big 12 basketball brand. And you add some of those schools and continue to hype up this Big 12 Conference Championship throughout the years till 2031. Because that's what you got to do. The NBA is not the NFL. All right? They don't make the kind of money the NFL does. But the hype of the NBA is huge, and they are great at branding. Any sports fan out there, you could probably name a solid 25 players in the NBA way quicker than you can 25 players in the NFL. And I'm talking about players from all over the league, not just your favorite team. College basketball doesn't do that as well. They do a great job with the NCAA tournament. It kind of markets itself. It's a huge event. And even casual fans, people who don't watch college basketball, will turn on the tournament, because it's a big freaking deal. And what Brett Yormark is going to attempt to do, and I think he's going to be successful. I think the groundwork is there. You're already in the most powerful basketball conference. You just add to that power. It's just like the Big Ten and the SEC are doing with college football. They're consolidating all the biggest brands into those conferences. I'm talking about blue bloods, not half-ass teams. I'm talking about people who are legit. That's a perfect roadmap for what Brett Yormark needs to do. That's why I'm talking about Villanova. That's why I'm talking about Xavier and Marquette, some of the biggest basketball brands who aren't already attached to a Power 5 conference. And I think when you have enough brand power and your conference tournament is the tournament outside of the NCAA tournament, it's the tournament to watch. It's the tournament that people start betting on, watching, going to, you name it. It's an event every year. That's what you have to make it. And then you'll be in a position in 2031 where you can unbundle it, because now your basketball is the most valuable basketball, period, outside of the NBA. And you can absolutely take this thing international. Mexico, not that far from here, but you could take it to Europe. Basketball's huge in Europe. There is so much room for growth of the Big 12 brand in Europe. And I know China's a big bad guy, but damn, they love their basketball too. That's something you can get on. I'm not saying I'm not saying with China you're selling selling shit to them. I'm just saying you're going there and promoting your brand because they love basketball. They love the NBA. They probably can't name you a Big 12 freaking school. There's plenty of room to grow your fan base. But in 2031, with those brands, with the hype, with the conference tournament becoming an event, and you growing internationally, now you'd be able to unbundle the basketball from the football. At that point, are you making double what you were off of basketball? Because right now, no one makes a ton off of basketball because football takes all the shine. Now, I'm not saying they're going to get $1 billion deal for it. I'm not being ridiculous, but is it unreasonable to think that, hey, maybe in 2031, I mean, could they get 11, 12 million a team, maybe a little more? That's not an unreasonable thing if this is done right. And I think Brett Yormark is the exact right guy to do it right. But if you can get that money up where these basketball programs are the highest paid anywhere in the nation, and it's not even close, and I think you could pull that off. And I'm not saying you're making Big Ten football money. I'm talking about the most valuable and the most paid and the richest basketball conference, the highest paid basketball conference by a lot. Then the Big 12 will become a destination. And not just for recruits and transfers. It'll obviously be that. It could be seen as a destination for other teams. I'm talking about the ACC. This isn't about a merger. This isn't about anything like that. I'm talking about when Clemson and Florida State, more than likely Miami, when they leave in 2036 or before, but I'm just going to say 2036. When they leave in 2036, all right, there will be options for some of those other schools in the ACC. Now, if you have a destination conference for basketball, that's going to be very intriguing to some of those teams in the ACC. And the first one I'll talk about is Notre Dame. Keep in mind, Notre Dame's independent, but their basketball is ACC. At that point, they're going to want to shop those basketball rights around. And if you have the number one destination basketball conference in all the land, and I don't give a damn how good or not good Notre Dame is at basketball, don't care. I want that jersey on a Big 12 court. That's what I want. It's a monster brand, and you will have an absolute great chance of getting them. Anything Notre Dame. I'll take Notre Dame badminton. I'll take their bowling team. I'll do they play lawn darts? I'll take that too. And I heard it out the ass about North Carolina. They're not going to never sully themselves to come to the Big 12. Neither would Duke. Okay. But what if you can unbundle y'all's ass and just your basketball brands come over? We're not talking academics at that point. Your football could be with whatever conference, you can go independent. You can stay with whatever's left of the ACC. If you miracle your ass into the Big Ten, wouldn't it make sense for your basketball brands to be in the number one destination basketball conference and maximize your profits, maximize your exposure? Because the Big Ten does nothing for your basketball as far as exposure. Neither does the SEC. But it would make all the sense in the world to come to a conference where you're playing Gonzaga, you're playing Arizona, you're playing Baylor, you're playing Kansas. And that tournament would be insane. It'll already be insane, but look, I'll give it up to UNC and Duke. It would be on another planet with those two in the conference. Same conference as all these great freaking brands. We'll see what happens in 2036, but I'm willing to bet at that point, teams like Louisville, Syracuse, Pitt, they'd really have something to think about when it comes to the Big 12 at that point. Now, the last thing I'll say about this, way out in the distant future, we're talking early 2040s, 20 years from now. If some of these things line up like I think they can, if you could land a premium brand like Notre Dame sometime around 2036, and they're like, hey, great money to be made off our basketball, let's join there. Football, we'll stay independent. That's fine. You don't even have to play 5 games in the Big 12. Just put your basketball in the most dominant conference on the planet outside of the NBA and let's do some work. I think that's possible. And if it is possible, it opens the door for things in the early 2040s that right now sounds like just moronic. Like, what? But hear me out. What is to keep a team like Kentucky? Of course, they'll never leave the SEC. Of course not. But what would keep an individual school from unbundling their basketball, just like Notre Dame does, and say, look, man, we're happy with the SEC. Our football will always be SEC, but our basketball is kind of wasted here. We have a huge brand and all that. Why don't we just put that into the Big 12? What would be wrong with even Ohio State or Michigan saying, we make an ass ton of money here and the Big 12 will never catch us. It's nothing like that. But we could really maximize our basketball by putting it in the Big 12. I mean, it sounds nuts. I understand. It's completely insane in 2023. But in 2043, if this brand can take off like I think it can, and Brett Yormark can really lead the way in popularizing college basketball the way it should be. I'm talking regular season and conference tournament. It's just, it's the shit. And it's worth way more money than anyone else is making on their basketball. Well, why wouldn't Ohio State basketball or Kentucky basketball say, hold on, we can make double or triple our earnings from basketball by putting it into the Big 12. And God forbid, if that can happen, could Texas come back to the Big 12 basketball only? Possible. Would I want them basketball? Yeah. They wouldn't be able to pull all their shit like they like to pull. It's just basketball. It's not the football and the Longhorn Network and all this other BS. No, it's just the basketball. And they've always been really good at basketball. They're a great school and great brand to have. And the sky's the limit. And we got the perfect commissioner. And you'll never catch the Big Ten or the SEC in overall money. No, you won't. Can you close the gap? Can you make 75% of what they make one day? That's possible. Like right now, we make half of what they make. I'm just saying, can you close the gap a little bit by maybe 3/4 of what they make? That is possible. That's achievable. That's an actual goal that can be achieved, and basketball can help close that gap quicker than anything else. Anyway, that's all I got on that crap. I'll be back with something else later. Bye.